Today I am going to tell you about diuretics. This is very important topic in unit 2 of subject Pharmacology 2 BP 503T. Myself Gitika Mehta, Assistant Professor in Pharmacology at Rajkumar Goyal Institute of Technology, Pharmacy, Ghaziabad. So, let us start diuretics. So, diuretics, these are the drugs which increases urine output, that is which causes diuresis. They increase urine volume, they increase urine volume. To understand how diuretics act, first we need to review physiology of renal, that is how formation of urine occur in kidney. So, you have already studied this in human anatomy and physiology. So, we will do a quick recap of formation of urine, renal physiology. So, kidney, they are important organ for the formation of urine. They are responsible for excretion of waste products. They are also responsible for maintenance of fluid volume and electrolyte. You all know that nephron is the structural and functional unit of kidney. Now, there are the three basic processes involved in the formation of urine. These are glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption and tubular secretion. So, glomerular filtration, these are the three basic processes involved in the formation of urine: glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption and tubular secretion. So, as soon as blood get filtered through the glomerulus, filtrate comes to the renal tubule. So, that glomerulus Bowman capsule receive 25% of the total cardiac output, and glomerular filtration rate is 100 to 120 ml per minute. About 180 liters per day of the fluid is filtered. So, for filtration occur at the Bowman capsule. This we will further see in the diagram, Bowman capsule, and this Bowman capsule is enclosed by, it is surrounded by the network of capillaries that are known as glomerulus. So, glomerular filtration rate is 100 to 120 ml per minute. Next step is tubular reabsorption. After filtration, filtrate enters the renal tubule. Renal tubules has different part. Each part had specific function. So, that filtrate enters the renal tubule, and that 99% of the filtrate gets reabsorbed. What does mean reabsorb? That from the lumen it will go back to the blood. It will go back to the blood. From the lumen it will go back to the blood. So, going back to the blood is known as reabsorption. So, 99 of the filtrate, जो भी filter होके renal tubule में आया था, उसका 99% will go back, चाहे वो कौन से ions, glucose, sodium, amino acid, so that go back. So, that is tubular reabsorption. So, normal urine output is 1.5 liter per day. After reabsorption of the filtrate, that is left in the renal tubule forms urine. So, normal urine output is 1.5 liter per day. Third step in this is tubular secretion, that is secretion of iron into the tubular fluid. So, few of the ions get secreted from the renal epithelium cells to the lumen. Few of the ions get secreted into the lumen. So, whatever comes into the lumen of the renal tubule, whatever comes into the lumen of the renal tubule will form urine. So, for the better understanding, we will see this diagram of nephron, which clearly shows physiology of urine formation. So, as I told you that nephron is the structural and functional unit of kidney. It has 5 major parts, but pharmacologically for the to understand mechanism of action of drugs, so we have divided nephron in the 4 parts. So, first in this is Bowman capsule. And this is surrounded by, enclosed by network of capillary called glomerulus. So, as soon as blood enters through the afferent arterioles, it gets filtered. This is afferent. Arteriole. So, blood gets filtered through this network of capillaries, and that filtrate will come here. Filtrate will come here in the capsule, and that filtrate will enter inside the renal tubule. So, all soluble constituents except plasma protein and lipids, they get filtered. All the soluble constituent except plasma protein and lipids get filtered. So, filtrate contain glucose, it contains amino acids, electrolytes, sodium, potassium, chloride. So, all filtrate comes into the renal tubule. Now, this filtrate reaches to the site 1. This filtrate reaches to the site 1. Site 1 is known as PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. Site 1 is known as PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. So, this filtrate enters inside the PCT, but here 65% of the sodium, 100% of the glucose, amino acids, almost 80 to 90% of the bicarbonates and other electrolytes get reabsorbed. They get reabsorbed. That is, they from the renal tubule lumen say they will go back to the interstitial fluid, and they will go back to the blood vessel capillaries, because whole nephron it is surrounded by the blood capillaries. So, reabsorption means going back. So, all sodium ions, bicarbonate ions, potassium ion, chloride, glucose, bicarbonates, they will reabsorb. So, sodium ion reabsorption mainly through the direct entry of the sodium ion, through the sodium potassium transporter or the sodium hydrogen antiporters, and various sodium glucose co-transporters, symporters, they are present in at this site PCT. So, you remember this, whenever sodium is reabsorbed, wherever sodium goes, chloride and water tend to follow it. So, wherever जब भी जहाँ भी sodium जाएगा उसके साथ chloride and water will follow it, will try to follow it. So, now fluid here, now fluid left is isotonic. So, this isotonic fluid now will enter to next site, site 2, that is loop of Henle. There is descending loop of Henle and there is ascending loop of Henle. So, this is ascending loop of Henle, ascending loop of Henle. This is descending loop of Henle. Now, filtrate reaches to descending loop of Henle. Here cells are permeable to water, but they are impermeable to sodium. In the descending loop of Henle, cells are permeable to water, but impermeable to sodium. So, sodium retain here. So, sodium retain in the lumen and water gets reabsorbed and water gets reabsorbed. So, what type of fluid is left here? Hypertonic. So, now tubular fluid is hypertonic because sodium is present inside the lumen, but water get reabsorbed. Now, this hypertonic fluid will enter to the ascending loop of Henle, and whose function is exactly opposite to descending loop of Henle. Now, ascending loop of Henle is impermeable to water. It is impermeable to water, but it is permeable to sodium. So, 25% of the sodium load, get reabsorbed at this site through either passively or through the sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter. So, remember this because this is the important site for the diuretic action. So, this sodium potassium 2 chloride transporter is present on the ascending loop of Henle, and this site is responsible for 25% of sodium ion reabsorption. But because this site is impermeable to water, so fluid left here is hypotonic. So, fluid gets diluted. So, this hypotonic fluid now goes to the site 3, that is DCT, distal convoluted tubule. Site 3, distal convoluted tubule. This loop of Henle is present in the medulla. So, this hypotonic fluid from the ascending loop of Henle will go to the distal convoluted tubule with now here 8 to 10% of the sodium gets reabsorbed through this sodium chloride transporter. At this site 8 to 10% of the sodium gets reabsorbed through sodium chloride co-transporter. Now, this site is also relatively impermeable to water. So, this solution will be again hypotonic. Now, this fluid will enter to the site 4, that is late distal tubule and collecting duct. This late distal tubule and collecting duct. So, here there are the two types of the cell. Number 1, principal cell, and number 2, intercalated cell. This principal cells, their function is regulated by antidiuretic hormone and aldosterone. Their function is regulated by aldosterone and antidiuretic hormone. Aldosterone is responsible for excretion of potassium and reabsorption of sodium. This aldosterone is responsible for excretion of potassium in the lumen and reabsorption of the sodium. An intercalated cell, there is a sodium hydrogen exchanger is present. So, this is renal physiology, that is how formation of urine occur. So, this is mainly divided into 4 sites where our diuretics acts. So, first is proximal convoluted tubule, जहाँ पे 65% सोडियम reabsorption होता है, but second site is असेंडिंग लूप ऑफ हेनले जहाँ पे 25% ऑफ द सोडियम रीअब्जॉर्प्शन होता है. थर्ड इज DCT डिस्टल कॉन्वोल्यूटेड ट्यूब्यूल जहाँ पे 8 to 10% ऑफ सोडियम रीअब्जॉर्प्शन होता है. एंड लास्ट इज DCT लेट DT एंड कलेक्टिंग डक्ट जहाँ पे ओनली 0 to 5% ऑफ द सोडियम रीअब्जॉर्प्शन अकर होता है. So our drugs are the diuretics. Diuretics, they have to increase the urine volume, and to increase the urine volume they will reduce reabsorption. यहाँ पे सब जगह reabsorption हो रहा है, that is they are going back to the blood. Now diuretics will inhibit all the reabsorption at different sites. They will inhibit the reabsorption of mainly sodium ions, and thus water ions will not be reabsorbed. So it will increase, diuretics will increase loss of sodium and water. So because it increases the urine volume, the diuretics are also called as water pills. They are called as water pills. So this is same thing that we have earlier given in that diagram, that there are the variety of energy dependent transmembrane pumps as well as channels are involved to carry out ion movement across tubular cells. The relative magnitude of sodium reabsorption is different at different tubules. So this is the different that we have already covered. So next is diuretics. So diuretics are the drugs which increases excretion of sodium and water from body through the urine. Thus they increase urine output. So diuretics, जिसको हम क्या कहते हैं, we also call them water pills. So they promote excretion of water by acting on different parts of nephron. वो हमने अभी देखा, by acting on different parts of nephron. और कैसे एक्ट करते हैं, कैसे डायूरेटिक एक्शन प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, by inhibiting the reabsorption of ions. As we have seen, there are the reabsorption of different ions at the different sites. So diuretics will inhibit the reabsorption, and inhibition of reabsorption will result in the secretion of that ion in the urine. So diuretic acts by inhibiting the reabsorption of ion at various sites of renal tubule. 1% inhibition of reabsorption doubles the urine output. 1% inhibition of reabsorption doubles the urine output. So because of this action, diuretics, because it increases the excretion of sodium and water, they are used to maintain urine volume in renal failure patients. They are also used to mobilize edema fluid. So for example, in heart failure, liver failure and nephrotic syndrome, that is, they remove abnormal fluid that gets deposited, and they are also used to control blood pressure. So this is the classification. Highly efficacious diuretics, they are inhibitor of sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporters. Furosemide is prototype in this case, bumetanide, torsemide, phenoxyacetic acid, ethacrynic acid. Medium efficacious diuretic, inhibitor of sodium chloride symphotus. Thiazides, they are also known as thiazide, very important. Furosemide is prototype in this case, and thiazide in this, they are the medium efficacious diuretics. Others are chlorthalidone, metolazolone, etc. Weak or adjunctive diuretics, they are the carbonic anhydrase inhibitors, acetazolamide, potassium sparing diuretic, aldosterone antagonist, spironolactone, that is the most important, aldosterone antagonist, inhibitor of renal epithelium sodium channel, trimethoprim, amiloride, osmotic diuretic, mannitol, methylxanthine, theophylline, and these are the few newer agent, vasopressin antagonist and A1 receptor antagonist. So this is table summarizes their site of action and the mechanism. Loop of Henle acts on the thick ascending loop of Henle, ascending limb, and it is inhibition of sodium potassium chloride co-transporter. Thiazide diuretic at early DT, inhibitor of sodium and chloride co-transporter. Proximal tubule, carbonic anhydrase acts at the first site, proximal tubule, inhibition of the bicarbonate reabsorption. Potassium sparing diuretic, late distal tubule and the collecting duct, inhibition of the sodium reabsorption and potassium secretion. Osmotic diuretics act at proximal tubule, loop of Henle and collecting duct. So, loop diuretics, most important, most popular diuretics, highly efficacious, high ceiling diuretics. High ceiling diuretics because they increases, diuretic action increases with increase in dose. They can cause the diuresis up to 10 liter per day. So, cautious should be keep in the mind that it may lead to the dehydration. So, it is highly popular, highly efficacious because they are responsible for the 25% of the sodium get reabsorbed. Most reabsorption occur at this site as compared to other. Site of action, thick ascending limb of Henle, and mechanism of action, this sodium chloride potassium 2 chloride co-transporter is present on the luminal membrane. This sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter present on the luminal membrane. So, furosemide inhibit this co-transporter by binding to chloride, inhibits this co-transporter by binding to chloride. Thus, it inhibit a reabsorption of sodium, chloride and potassium. It inhibit reabsorption of sodium, chloride and potassium. So, thus they increases the excretion of sodium, chloride and potassium. So, because potassium overload occur, this sodium overload will go to the distal region, to the distal renal tubule, and at that side distal region पे वहाँ पे जो भी सोडियम लोड जाएगा वो पोटेशियम के साथ एक्सचेंज होगा, and in that case potassium excretion will increase, potassium excretion will increase. So, secreted by organic acid transporter in the proximal tubule. So, loop diuretics, they are secreted at the PCT and then they reach to their site of action, then they block sodium potassium 2 chloride transporter and thus they increases excretion of sodium and chloride in the urine. So, high amount of sodium and water excreted increases calcium and magnesium excretion, increases bicarbonate loss because they are weak carbonic anhydrate inhibitors, and they also cause potassium loss. क्योंकि मैंने आपको बताया कि जितना भी सोडियम यहाँ पे रीअब्जॉर्ब नहीं हुआ वो साइट 4 पे जाके रीअब्जॉर्ब होना चाहेगा और वहाँ साइट 4 पे सोडियम के एक्सचेंज में पोटेशियम सीक्रीट होगा and that results in the hypokalemia. So, potassium loss occur with loop diuretics. So, diuretic response increases with dose, that is why they are known as high ceiling diuretics. So, these are the action we have discussed: increased excretion of sodium, chloride, increased potassium excretion, so causes hypokalemia. They also causes increased excretion of calcium and magnesium. They causes the increased bicarbonate loss, and now this is very important because IV furosemide will results in the increase in venous capacitance. IV furosemide will cause prostaglandin mediated vasodilation in the renal epithelium. So, they will cause इंक्रीज इन वीनस कैपेसिटेंस, वेन्स में ब्लड बढ़ जाएगा, जब वेन्स में ब्लड कम बढ़ जाएगा तो रिटर्न टू द हार्ट, वीनस रिटर्न टू हार्ट कम हो जाएगा, वीनस रिटर्न हार्ट कम हो जाएगा, देन इट विल रिजल्ट इन रिड्यूस इन लेफ्ट वेंट्रिकुलर फिलिंग प्रेशर, द डिक्रीज इन left ventricular filling pressure will relieve from the pulmonary edema. It will relieve from the pulmonary edema. So, this occur with the IV furosemide, this immediate action है. So, it relieves edema, pulmonary edema with the IV furosemide. Pharmacokinetics, these are rapidly acting, well absorbed orally, quick onset of action. Intravenously they act in 2 to 5 minutes and orally they act in 20 to 40 minutes. So, adverse effects, they are very important adverse effects. They causes hypokalemia because increased excretion of hydrogen ion and increased excretion of potassium ion causes hypokalemia, and increased excretion of hydrogen ion results in the metabolic alkalosis at the late side, at late DT and collecting duct in exchange to the potassium. So, symptoms are, it is especially risky for the patient with cardiac arrhythmia and those on digitalis. So, weakness, fatigue, cramp, confusion, cardiac arrhythmia may occur. It is prevented by adding potassium supplements or potassium sparing diuretics. Hyponatremia, because of the excess loss of the blood volume, excess loss of the water and sodium, it may lead to the hyponatremia, dehydration, hypovolemia and fall in BP may occur. So, if it is over dehydration, then we should treat with the saline, or we can stop temporarily to treat dilutional hyponatremia. Ototoxicity, because it disturbs electrolyte composition of endolymph. Ototoxicity means inner ear toxicity, impairment in hearing. Hypocalcemia, osteoporosis occur on the long term view. It may precipitate gout, hypomagnesemia, hyperglycemia, hypersensitivity reaction. So, uses are, they are used in the edema, different type of cardiac, nephrotic and cirrhotic edema, liver edema. They are used to treat cerebral edema. They are used in acute heart failure with pulmonary edema, that we have already discussed, acute renal failure. They are used as hypertension, though thiazides are important drug for the hypertension. In renal impairment cases, loop diuretics are used. They are also used in forced diuresis and hypercalcemia. Next class is thiazide diuretics. These are medium efficacy diuretics, because whatever load is left here, it will go to the other sides and get reabsorbed. So, they are known as medium efficacy diuretics. They are no example are thiazide like drugs. This site 1 cortical diluting segment of early distal tubule, site 3, this is site 3, early distal tubule. Mechanism of action, inhibition of sodium chloride symporter, inhibition of sodium chloride symporter. So, there is a sodium chloride transporter is present on the luminal side of DCT, and this thiazide will block this and will inhibit the reabsorption of sodium and chloride. Thus, they increases the excretion of sodium and also causes potassium loss, because sodium will go to the distal portion. So, there will be potassium loss. It will also increase excretion of magnesium bicarbonate, but it decreases the excretion of calcium and uric acid. So, thiazides, they reduces blood volume, they reduces GFR and they are well absorbed orally. They produces flat dose response curve. So, their uses same edema, they are used in the hypertension, decreases blood volume, BP, first line drug in the hypertension. So, these are they are also used in diabetes insipidus, that we will cover in antidiuretics. Adverse effects, similar adverse effects like loop diuretics, hypokalemia, metabolic alkalosis, hyponatremia, dehydration, hypovolemia, hypotension, GI disturbance, allergic reaction may occur. So, these are the few drug interactions that you can go through. So, which these drugs they are used in synergistically. So, this was all about diuretics. So, thank you.